Welcome back, or welcome for the first time. If it is welcome back, then you might be wondering, dude, where you been? Well, before that, let me just introduce myself. In case this is your first time, I'm MCNEW, and this is my podcast. And about 9 months ago, I filmed the last episode that I posted. And 9 months ago, I did not realize that it would be the last episode for 9 months. And so I wish I had a fun story to tell or some explanation that was better than the one I'm about to give, which is this. 9 months ago, I posted the last episode, and there may have been shorts released for, the weeks to follow or a couple weeks to follow, but no full episodes. And so, well, here's what happened. The fact is, I don't get paid to film podcasts and work my day job. It got busy, and then 1 week out of the podcast room became 2, became 3, became a month, and then personal life got busy. And then what happens is, the longer you're out of here, the harder it is to come back in here and record, because it's a time commitment. I had a system, but it's still a time commitment, and so just weeks became months, became 9 months. And so I wish there was some better explanation, but there's not. And so I have had people reach out and say, where you been? And so I've assured them I'll get back in here. I either have to get back in here and record or have a huge garage sale, because we had spent a bucket of money on the podcast room. And so it's fun. It's a good hobby. I wasn't looking to make a job out of it. And so here I'm back. And so let me explain what has happened in the meantime. First, the title. All along, I had hoped to just brand the show as MCNEW. That's my last name. I'm quite fond of it, and that's what I wanted the brand to be. Unfortunately, there's a YouTube channel, or the name is taken. Somebody on YouTube has his handle as MCNEW, just MCNEW. It looks like a really old account that hasn't been accessed in a billion years. It has no videos, no followers, and so I can't just use MCNEW. Name is taken. And so MCNEW, Duty, Grit, Grinds became the title after a few episodes in season 1, which is what we're going to call the 9 months ago episodes, and then the gap, and now we're in season 2. And so there's that. And so what happened was, a couple episodes into season 2, we settled on, season 1, we settled on MCNEW, Duty, Grit, Grinds. The reason being, it captured the themes that we were looking to discuss on the show. MCNEW being what I wanted the name to be, and then kind of the values of the show followed in the title. And so duty, centering on first responders, law enforcement, military, sort of the people that I envisioned interacting with, which in fact is who we interacted with. And so law enforcement, duty, military was duty, part of the title. Grit being something important, a value of our family, something that I also saw us discussing and we would discuss in the upcoming episodes. And so grit, meaning like perseverance, working hard when things get hard, continuing to work when work sucks, things like that. So grit. And then grinds was similar to grit, but was a play on of words, because it was related to coffee. It tied coffee into the show. Some of the original titles that we kicked around before we launched season 1 were coffee centered, and so had coffee in the title, and I don't remember all of them, but we kind of abandoned that because it kind of pigeonholed us. And honestly, I didn't want anyone to think it was a show about coffee, because I actually don't know anything. There are people who know a lot about coffee. And what I know is that I like black coffee and I don't like anything in it. And so I have a very simple taste in coffee. I drink it out of a Cuisinart drip machine, and the people at Starbucks know me. And so I do not have like cultured coffee taste or information. I just don't know. And so when I did not want someone to think I knew anything about coffee, because I don't. And so that's kind of why we abandoned the coffee theme. And so sorry if you came to the channel looking for tips on roasting beans and things like that. Like, I drink black coffee and that's it. So anyways, so grinds was kind of a play on that. And so what I've done, if you've noticed, is trying to get as close to just MCNEW as possible. I compressed the title. And so it's a little simpler, MCNEW grinds. I think it still captures grit because the connection to grinds, grit and grinds are similar. And then there's the play on, the coffee connection. And so that's still there. And MCNEW grinds is still, we can still easily connect that to duty. That, like I said, the simple fact is the title could be MCNEW, and then we can talk about whatever we want. And so that's the explanation for the shortened title. I've done my best to connect the links and things like that over today. And so it's not as easy as just changing the name. Unfortunately, I have Instagram and Facebook, which no one really follows, but it is kind of the parent of Instagram. And then where I post the podcasts, there's links there. And then there's obviously YouTube. And so I think I've got it. And so if you see a broken link, let me know. So that's kind of the title. Oh, the beard. The season 1, I had a big, awesome beard. And I prefer a big, awesome beard. And the beard continued to be big and awesome until about the 1st of November. And so what happened was I started to feel a little self-conscious, actually, even during season 1 in uniform at work, because I still occasionally have to wear a uniform. I would feel self-conscious. So I think that a uniform looks best, and even just a working uniform. I'm not talking a dress uniform or anything like that. It looks best with, a stubble beard or a short beard, but the long bushy beard made me self-conscious. And so that was probably a me thing. I probably overthought it. My wife definitely prefers the longer beard. She's not thrilled about the shorter one. And so we'll see what happens. I may continue to grow it. This has been growing for about 3 days. And so anyways, season 1, I had a bigger, great beard, and now it's gone. But more to come on that. Nobody comes to this show to hear me talk about the beard. And so I was just trying to explain where it went. So table orientation. At the end of season 1, we had this table oriented 90 degrees. And so the reason for that was so that I was looking across at guests and we both shared the backdrop behind me. Unfortunately, the camera angles and the lighting, I didn't like it as much as this backdrop straight behind me. And so I moved it back. Also, this room, it's an office, it's a home office. And so when the table was oriented in that other orientation, it made it a little bit awkward to get in the door. So I moved it back. And so it's harder than you might imagine to get people to come to your house and talk on your podcast. But if you want to come on the podcast, shoot me an email or send me a text message if you know me. Love to have you on the show. And because I think it's more fun to talk to people. And my wife's a little shy. And so she doesn't want to be my live-in everyday co-host. And so if you're interested, give me a call. One thing I did do when we reoriented is I hung a camera from a hook and a contraption. And so I do have an overhead, which I think is a cool camera angle. And I've got a monitor so I can see, what it looks like. And I think we'll see if I like it. I think I do. And then I do have the guest chair straight across. And there were plenty of episodes where Sergeant Watson came on and sat over there. And then some of the kids sat over there. And so, and the wife. And so I have that set up. The deal is I don't love the backdrop. And I don't have that camera recording, so I can't show it to you. But the backdrop is a corner shelf with a Nintendo 64 and some video games on it. And I just don't like it as much. And so that was why we wanted to turn the table, and it didn't work out. And so I've got it back this way, and we'll see how we like it as we enter season 2. So that was a 10-minute introduction about where I've been and what's going on. And so I think with that, I'm just going to leave it there. And so this video will be season 2. Stay tuned. And on that note, I'm MCNEW, and this is Grinds.